My name is Nessie. That is not my real name, but it's the only name I can use now without reopening wounds I've spent years trying to close. Before I tell you what happened to me, I want you to understand this. I was not weak. I was not careless. I was not irresponsible. I was a civil engineer who built her life with discipline, sacrifice, and pride. I used my degree immediately after graduating. A close friend of mine, someone I trusted with my career, helped me get my first real projects. She was brilliant at planning, decisive under pressure, and respected by clients. When her workload became too heavy, she passed projects to me. That trust changed my life. I worked relentlessly to prove I deserved it. I stayed up late studying plans, learning site management, understanding people, and fixing mistakes before they became disasters. Slowly, I gained confidence, not just in my skills, but in my voice. Soon, I had my own teams: foremen, leadmen, laborers, skilled workers who depended on me for their livelihood. I paid fairly. I respected time. I listened. I wasn't cruel, but I was firm. And when someone abused their authority, I confronted them privately and professionally. I believed leadership meant protecting those with less power. That belief made me enemies. Some people didn't like taking orders from a woman. Others hated that I removed them when they refused to follow standards. I heard rumors. I felt resentment. I saw looks that lingered too long. But I never imagined danger. I trusted my work sites. I trusted my routine. I trusted the world more than I should have. One afternoon, I visited a project alone. I always did. I liked checking progress personally, documenting details, taking photos, making sure everything was moving on schedule. The structure was nearly finished. Only final touches remained. Most workers from different teams had already left. The site was quiet, peaceful. I remember lifting my camera, adjusting the angle, thinking about deadlines. Then someone grabbed me from behind. There was no warning, no chance to run. Something was pressed against my face. I didn't lose consciousness, but my body suddenly felt heavy, useless, detached. I could hear. I could feel. I understood exactly what was happening. But I couldn't move. I tried. I swear I tried. My mind screamed while my body stayed still. I felt trapped inside myself, aware of every second, every breath, every violation of my space and dignity. I won't describe what he did, because survival should never require performance. What matters is this. I was violated in a place I once felt powerful. I was stripped of control in the career I built with my own hands. When it ended, he disappeared, leaving me shaking, broken, and alone. That day didn't just take my safety. It destroyed the version of myself I trusted. After that day, nothing felt real. People noticed changes. Colleagues asked questions. Meetings were held. Investigations happened. Everyone wanted answers. But no suspect was found. No one was held accountable. Life moved forward as if nothing had happened. While I felt frozen in the moment, my control was taken from me. Then came the truth I wasn't ready to face. I was pregnant. I remember staring at the result, feeling like the air had been punched out of my lungs. The child growing inside me was the result of violence, something I never chose, never invited, never deserved. I felt anger, fear, shame that didn't belong to me but clung anyway. When my boyfriend found out, he left. Maybe he didn't know how to stay. Maybe my pain was too heavy for him to carry. Either way, his absence carved another wound into me. Soon after, I lost my parents. Grief layered itself on top of trauma until some days, breathing felt like work. I was alone, exhausted, and terrified of the future. But then I felt movement inside me. A quiet reminder that life, somehow, was still happening. I made a choice. I chose to live. I chose to keep my child. Not because it was easy, not because it erased what happened, but because I refused to let violence decide the rest of my life. Raising my child alone was the hardest thing I've ever done. There were nights I cried silently, afraid my past would follow us forever, afraid of judgment, afraid of being reduced to the worst day of my life. I stopped dreaming of marriage. Not because I stopped believing in love, but because I was afraid that one day, during an argument, my past would be thrown at me like a weapon. So I built a different life. A quieter one. A slower one. A life focused on healing. My child became my anchor, my strength, my proof that something good could still grow from unbearable pain. As for the person who did this to me, I never found him. I let go of the search, not because justice didn't matter, but because carrying hatred was killing me. I placed that burden in God's hands and trusted that truth, time, or karma would decide his fate. This is not a story about weakness. This is a story about survival. If you're listening to this, and you carry something similar inside you, you are not broken. You are not dirty. You are not to blame. Sometimes silence isn't consent. Sometimes silence is how someone survives. Once again, I'm Nessie, and this is my YouTube confession.